And we are live with the Clean Power Hour on February 10th. I'm Tim Montague, your co host, and I'm excited to be bringing you the clean energy news with my co host and the commercial solar guy, John Weaver. Welcome to the show.
Morning, evening, actually, Timothy. It's evening time. This is
Yeah,
late.
we,
It's
we
dark
don't
outside.
we don't record often, or in this case, do a live recording in the evening, but I kind of like mixing it up. And we're going to be talking about the U.S. military is decarbonizing their facilities around the globe. This is not new, but they're accelerating their goals, which is good. Our tax dollars hard at work. We want those dollars to decarbonize. And somebody thinks there's a big flow battery out there. I'm curious about that. Import tariffs. Oh, I hate those. I really don't want to talk about tariffs, but we'll talk about that and bifacial modules and what an idiot I am sometimes on LinkedIn, which you rightfully corrected me about. Uh, and Elon is busy stacking the rocket in Texas, and they have a live event tonight, John, at 8 o'clock.
I didn't know that. It's
Yeah.
stacked. It is stacked. It's not stacking. It's no longer stacking. It is. It's up.
Yeah, they stacked that thing. I only wish they would have done that a few weeks ago when I was in Boca Chica.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's going to do a live event. So he's ramping up the drumbeat of news about going to space and going to Mars, and that's a good thing. Um, I do need to make a announcement, and that is that the Clean Power Hour is now sponsored by my consulting company, the Clean Power Consulting Group. And you can learn more about that at cleanpower.group. That is the website, cleanpower.group. We provide strategic sales and marketing consulting to clean tech companies that are decarbonizing the economy. So we're a mission driven company who want to work with other mission driven companies who are doing real work to build the technology and the infrastructure that is going to step us back from the brink of climate chaos. So if you want more information, please book a meeting with me. There's lots of booking links on the cleanpower.group website. And as always, you can find all the Clean Power Hour content at cleanpowerhour.com. That includes audio only and video. We have a YouTube channel. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. And you know what's cool, John, is if you just Google Clean Power Hour, the number one natural result now is the Apple Podcast link. So our
Good job.
Apple and I heard you were talking to the computer and you talked to Siri. So you are an iOS user yourself.
So I recently switched my phone out because I want to do a heart monitors thing, and
Ah, yeah.
well, and the heart monitor is on the Apple Watch, and the Apple Watch requires an Apple phone. So I am an Apple phone and watch wearer. My laptop here is a Dell. I just have one laptop, business laptop, but I love both Apple products and Windows-based products. They're both solid, but their phone is cool. I want to learn how to use the camera. It's great on a project. So I did a site visit today down in Rhode Island at a brewery. It was sweet. And I was reminded how useful of a feature we have. It's the little light on the iPhone that can be pointed at a spot. You press a button and then drag the camera up, and it measures the number of feet so that as I'm doing the project site visit, I can accurately measure a roof height
Yeah.
and other stuff. We had 2 or 3 roofs we had to work on. It's just like, this is such a great phone. So
That's
anyway,
pretty cool.
yeah, like it.
I don't own an iPhone, but I do own a iPod Touch, which I use every day to record meetings. And I use an app called Otter.ai. If anybody wants to know a great live transcription tool, check out Otter.ai. And it's just awesome. But I'm an Android guy. I love uh, the geekiness and the tweak everythingness of Android.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I'm very annoyed at the simplicity of the iPhone. I wish I could just adjust a couple of tiny things, just the system layout. I mean,
Yeah.
I got a giant screen and like 20 icons. I want them like to be tiny. I mean, that's why I got a big screen so I can do more stuff. Um, that's my number one complaint. But otherwise, it's a great phone. They're all good phones. When you buy like the what's it called, the flagship phone, you always get to have a good phone. And I end up with a phone for 4 years. And
Yeah.
that's just my general model, unless I break it too many times or, you know. But yeah. Anyway,
What
good phone.
usually gets me about my phone is the memory gets, and I always buy, the biggest memory capacity possible. I think my current phone is 128 gigabytes or something like that. And it works for a while, and then because it slows everything down. It gums it all up, right? If you don't have enough memory available.
That's
But
so funny because I never fill up. Now, are you talking storage memory or memory as in RAM? RAM
yeah,
or data saving?
it's the effectively the hard drive of the phone.
Okay, the hard drive. Okay.
Yeah,
I never fill up my memory because I use Google as my backend for images and video. And as I start to even get anywhere putting
yeah,
volume, it automatically backs up and I delete the local version. And then bam, done.
yeah. But now there's all I do that too, right? And that's one of the things that I love about Google is you can just sync all your photos in,
Yep.
automatically into Google, and then clean out the memory. Of course, you got to do that. But yeah, it has a way of accumulating in nooks and crannies, and of course, I subscribe to 1,000 podcasts, and some of that stuff accumulates. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure how to fight that process more
I'm good at
vigorously,
it.
but
I'm an expert at that. I'm a picky operating system, like, it's got to be perfect. And I totally go in there and empty my recycling bins and all the little temp files and clear out caches. I'm into that stuff. It's fun. It's like after you're nice and shaven with a good haircut, it's like, I'm just so clean.
I'm
That's what
pretty
it
good
feels
at
like.
it, but I'm lazy, and I can't say I enjoy that. So, uh, I'd much rather work on something else. But anyway, let's get into the news, John. There's a
Yes,
story
yes.
in PB Magazine by your colleague, William Driscoll, and
Will,
sorry,
Will's a good guy. You should
I,
get Will Driscoll on the show at some point to talk about the things he gets into. He's a good guy. He knows a lot of stuff.
I would love to do that. So
Yeah.
you'll have to reach out to him. The title is U.S. Army commits to using 100% clean electricity by 2030. I will attempt to put this on screen for our viewers, and I will probably fail, but um, let's give that a shot. Here we go.
You play with that, I'll talk about it. Really, step one is that by 2030, they're aiming to have a whole bunch of CO2 free electricity at its installations. And and I think that's specifically focused in the US, but there is a global push as well. And then by 2035, they want microgrids. This is going to be across the nation. And I,
Yep.
I brought up the microgrid piece because I'm actually dealing with this topic right now in a couple of projects, and it's really interesting to watch, complex to deal with, and I, the fact that the U.S. military is doing it, and we just got approved by SAM, so a commercial solar guy can officially do a government bid because we just went through a whole bunch of paperwork. That's really what it is, to prove that we're, you
Yeah.
know, human beings that are building things instead of a computer stealing some money, I guess. But it's just
I,
interesting watching the military now do this kind of stuff because that's going to jack up the technology, the volume, etc.
what I love is this quote very early in the story by the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd J. Austin III. What a regal name. We face all kinds of threats in our line of work, but few of them truly deserve to be called existential. The climate crisis does. Climate change is making the world more unsafe, and we need to act. So there you have it. The senior defense authority in the country says climate change is a threat. Take that to any of you climate deniers out there. And this guy is obviously very capable, smart, talented, and has obviously had a very successful career protecting our country. And I think we should sit up and listen.
The concept that the U.S. military is going to have clean electricity with microgrids at its basis will be a marketing piece for, I don't know, the whole earth. I'm glad this is a directive. I'm sure it's a directive that came from Biden because that's how it works. But I'm just glad that it's there for multiple levels, multiple reasons. Um,
Yeah.
it is energy, as we've seen in all of our industry. Oil, the fact that the Middle East is the most important place on earth almost, is because of its oil. And this is it. This is the extension of the oil industry, which has dominated global politics for 100 years. And it's a national security issue. And if you can isolate yourself from the energy realities of the rest of the planet and make yours one much less of a significance, you have created a more stable society. And yeah, I mean, so China put out a massive volume of wind and solar again. China is going to deploy so much energy. I mean, the only negative going against China is that it's got 1.4 billion people and a huge amount of demand. But it put out so much energy that at some point the local energy generation is going to be a defense tool to fight. Like if it gets into a war, it's going to be like, well, we don't have to worry about securing oil. So just real interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember what the carbon footprint is of the US government, but it's very big. And they are, I think, the number one consumer of like gasoline in the country as far as single entities, so to speak, right? Our government is very, very big, and our military is very big. We have, what is the number of military bases around the globe? It's several hundred.
It's gaining on
And
1,000.
yeah. And, um, and that's the other thing is I'm like, if we can afford to do that, we can afford to make the clean energy transition. The clean energy transition is actually going to create economic growth. We have to fuel that fire. We have to spark the match. We have to put some dollars in, but for every dollar in, we're going to get $3 out in savings and clean jobs and better health, stronger resiliency, and of course less climate chaos. And the price alone of climate chaos is basically infinite. Right? We talk about not being able to afford something. We cannot afford climate chaos. That is going to hurt us economically, because while there is some goods that come out of responding to fires, floods, droughts, etc., for example, um, building dikes and building dams and that infrastructure, that is economic growth, but it's also hundreds of billions of dollars of black eyes, and it really kicks the butt of those economies that are at the heart of those climate crises, the Houstons and New Orleans and California's on fires, so to speak, of the world, right?
Trillions. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember seeing these analyses of global GDP chops of 20% a year in 2050. And that's when the world should be, imagine going from, just chopping out China's economy. It's like, whoop. That's what they're saying if we mess up. So trillions, tens of trillions per year. We have the money. First off, money isn't real. We make money, and then we decide to wake up and go do stuff. So there's that. So we have the money. Do we have? And also from an economic fiscal sense, our economy is like $24 trillion a year. We could, if the hardware were there, and the factories, and the technology, and the labor, et cetera, we could pay for the whole energy transition in the United States, other than maybe all the vehicles, because they're going to be expensive. But all the grid could be perfectly greened instantaneously with 1 year's GDP. It's like, bink, done. Now, we're not going to do it in a year. We can't. We don't even have the factories to do it in a year. So, no. But It's just we can do it. That is not the question. Politics is real. We have people who are literally saying, I'm going to protect my coal factory, and I don't believe in climate change. And it's like, and so I won't vote for this bill because, that's politics is real. So we can. The attitude is what the question is. What are we doing?
Yep.
All right.
Well, you found a story about the Pentagon. They're kicking off a bid for round-the-clock renewable energy.
Quotes,
And
studies on it, research on it. Not actually doing procurements yet, but I thought it complemented your prior article great because they're researching this topic.
So, what's the story? I mean, researching it as in we just want to do a feasibility analysis, or
Yes. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to figure out now is who's out there, who are the vendors, who builds, what are the products, what technologies are out there, what weaknesses are there, what are entrepreneurs trying to discover. They want to know what there is to know about 24/7 on-site electricity generation, because energy transportation protection is one of the biggest reasons that we have a military presence in the globe, and that we spend hundreds of billions of dollars on it per year. So now they're just going to learn. And I'm actually going to see if we can apply for this, because I just am. It's time for Rochelle to start working on this in the office.
It says the defense, I assume this is the defense agency. I don't know. The agency currently has more than 170 energy contracts in 45 states. And so they are a massive energy buyer.
Mhm.
And if you buy large quantities of energy, you have lots of money to save. This is why the Googles, Facebooks, Microsofts, IKEAs, etc. of the world are all investing in either owning solar and wind and battery storage assets, or doing third-party ownership through a PPA with a developer, because they save money. And these are capitalists. They have fiduciary responsibilities to their investors to be as profitable as possible. And yes, they also want to decarbonize their facilities, but they are not going to do this at the expense of the bottom line. And
now the Pentagon might, if they see strategic benefits from it, and I don't know what their internal benefits are fully, but the Pentagon might. The Pentagon might take some judgment calls and say, "Ooh, this costs a tiny bit more, but
Sure.
it's strategically valuable." So I'm looking forward to the growth of this, and I hope that as a business person, we can be involved in this as well, because we're good consultants and we can build and all that kind of little stuff in it. So that's why I was super excited to see it. I've been thinking about it all week. And then when I saw that you picked this as your favorite article of the week, I decided, I should throw that one up there too. So
yeah.
So you want to go? Let's go visit the Pentagon, Tim. Come on.
I'd be down with that. I'm sure it's a fascinating place.
I have to make sure everything is perfectly ironed, because they will. They're like civvies. Project of the week. Can I tell you about my little project that's moving along slowly?
Let's talk about a project in Massachusetts. Where is this?
Dartmouth, Massachusetts. It's at the Beagle Club, where they actually train little beagles to run around, chase animals, chase rabbits, whatever they do. And he's just got this big open. He's got this big open field that he's not using.
That's not right.
Oh, sounds a little funny there. So this field he's using, we're putting some solar in it. It had some wetlands nearby. We're in the 50 to 100 foot range, and once you get that up there, we'll be able to see it. And we've also recently got final approval from the utility and some guidance on where they're going to put some gear. So you got to click on this image. Let's check it out a little closer.
Yeah, I have to click like 10 buttons in order to get the screen share, so you have to bear with me.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll have a really fast mouse clicking finger, but um,
All right.
so this is ground or roof?
Ground mount.
Okay, I was going to say it
224.
looks like two in portrait ground mount to me.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's 224 to 226. I think we have 226 kW of modules coming. Um,
yeah,
you can see in the lower right, you can see that one round bubble that we're built outside of. That's the 50-foot setback from the wetlands. And then we're in the next layer in the 50 to 100. So in that area, we have to do some drip mitigation. Otherwise, everybody's okay with it. Up in the top right, you see the red line and the black line crossing the road. That's where our wire's coming across. We just got this approval. That's why I'm like, yeah. We just got final placement of the pole from the utility, and we know where our transformer is, and we communicated that to the town as well. And all is good. Got our DEP and going to start clearing just a little bit of trees. There's not a lot of trees really. So it's time to get to work.
excellent. So when will you mobilize? Do you think?
So technically we'll mobilize uh, earliest by law February 19th so that we can do some clearing and land prep. But then major will occur sometime in later April, I'm guessing. So let's see, it's say mid-February, mid-March, mid-April. That's 8, 9. So it could be late April, and that's going to be when racking is delivered. Because up to a 12-week lead time. Right now, I'm being just tentative and slow until I get an actual lead time on the racking. So we just picked our panel. Now that we got our final sizing approved, and I'm going to cut back sizing a tiny bit because I got a nice big panel, a 540-watt V-Sun bifacial, and that's going to shrink our footprint down a bit. We'll get out of the wetland area a little bit more. And with that ordering, I sent the design back to electrical engineering to refine the one line, which will then lead back to our new site plan and then our racking order. So I hope to finalize my racking order by Friday, if that's possible. But tomorrow's Friday, so maybe next Friday is what I really meant to say. But I expect the design possibly tomorrow for my new one line, my new layout, and then the racking guy to get to work. So,
And because I'm a geek for racking, what manufacturer are you going with on racking?
haven't chosen yet. We got like 3 or 4 companies that we've got quotes from, and we wanted to wait until we finalized everything. We have our relationships now, I guess, with whomever reached out to us. I don't think, there's a few we reached out to and they didn't respond to us, probably because it's a 224 kW system.
Yeah.
Like I think Amco, the one you taught me about, they didn't respond.
Mhm.
But we'll see. So we'll poke around and see if there's anything that makes sense. Maybe I just met Solar Flex Rack for my utility scale guy. Maybe they'll give me good pricing for my residential stuff. I'm going to send that email to Benji right now. That's how it's going to work. Thank you. Solar Flex.
We like Solar Flex Rack a lot.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Solid company, solid. They're not perfect, but nobody is. So responsive goes a long way, right? If you can get a dialogue going and actually get a quote, that goes a long way. You'll get crickets from a lot of people on a smaller ground mount, and that's where the CED Green Techs of the world come in too. And they'll want to sell you probably Iron Ridge or something like that. But we should move on to Canary Media, right? Iron Air battery maker Form has an unexpected new customer, Georgia Power. My brother was born in Georgia.
Georgia.
My grandpa had a factory in Carrollton, Georgia.
That's cool.
And my dad helped him electrify the factory in the 60s. All right. It's on screen. That wasn't too bad. It didn't take me half an hour this time.
So flow batteries are
This isn't a flow battery though, is it?
Yeah,
Iron Air is a flow battery?
yeah, they're all flow batteries.
Okay.
You want to know about this one? What's the coolest thing about it?
Well, I love Form Energy. I mean, I'm dying to get them on the show. If you work for Form Energy, please reach out to us. We would love to do an interview with a senior executive from Form. Why are you excited about this?
Because I would love to see the modeling and dynamics of a flow battery that's 1 hour, one hour of charge versus 150 hours of backup, and how the heck they're designing this and what the technique is going to be. Like, I want to see the vision. And they said they've done some modeling because I follow Scott Berger, who's their like research genius dude, and he's he mentioned that there was some research and analysis done, of course, to do the pitch for why the battery works. And I just want to learn. I want to learn what how the stacking equations come out, because if it's it's a 150-hour battery. That's how many days? 24. That's 6 days. Like, it would take 6 days to charge, and then would only output like not even a full 6 days, probably 5 days, 4 days, whatever the efficiency is, 3.5. So it'll take 6 days to charge and offer you 3 days out. So I suspect there are multiple batteries spread around the market, and they work in concert, and it's an equation where some algorithm person says these 17 batteries act like a symphony together to deliver energy and guarantee, 1 megawatt of pure uptime forever. Like, they have a 99.9% uptime with these batteries by just having a whole bunch of this guy's 1 megawatt and this guy's 1 megawatt, and they're always over crossing, and there's always 20% backup, and that's what I expect to see. But I just want to see it, and it was hinted at. So I'm going to talk to Scott and Twitter and see if he'll respond to me, because he's smart. He should ignore some people like me sometimes and get back to work. But because they're doing cool stuff, man. I love seeing the scientist people move into corporate. It's just awesome.
So, do you understand why Georgia Power is interested in getting a 1,500 megawatt hour battery?
Because they install solar. They do a lot of EVs too. Tim Eccles, I can't remember his name. Pardon me. He's their uh, he's like he's a politician position, but it's related to energy. So he's like a PUC commissioner type guy, and he pushes a lot of clean energy. He's got like an EV charging highway. It's like he had the first wireless EV charging highway in the nation, in his region, in Georgia.
Yeah, I remember when we covered that story.
Yeah, and he's also one of the guys pushing the nukes that isn't very successful right now, but at least he's holding on to it. But that's a guy you should get. That's a guy you should do. 2 gigs of nuke is awesome. That's like 10 gigs of solar. They can get it up. Beautiful. It's already 98% done. It's slowly moving backwards, but whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should get Tim. I wish I hadn't blocked him on Twitter already.
Why did you block him?
I don't know. Too much Georgia. Too much Georgia's doing it our way. It's like, damn it, dude. Just build some capacity. You burn more coal than anybody else.
By the way, I have a bone to pick with you.
What'd I do?
I was looking at your Twitter account today, and you do not follow TG Montague on Twitter.
I only follow people who aggressively post solar stuff.
I knew you'd have some good excuse for not following me.
All right, I'll check it out.
I am your co-host. You need to follow me, bro.
I got some crap from my editor too. He goes, "Why don't you follow me?" I said, "You don't post about solar." He's like, "Well, you should follow me." I'm like, "You don't post about solar. You gotta post about solar for me to follow you."
I love giving you crap.
I'm all right.
But I am way more excited about this next story than I am about even a ginormous Form battery, because this is such a beautiful sight to behold, and it is the future. I mean, solar, wind, and storage are the future, but this is a different future. And That
Look at
is
that, dude.
incredible. You see how there's two sets of chopsticks. You remember when we were looking at my photos, you were like, so is that the second chopstick? And I'm like, no, I think there's a second row. And now you see exactly why.
Mhm.
There's one for the for the starship and one for the booster, whatever the booster's called. Um,
How weird is that looking? I mean, it's got a little stool.
right.
That's
Yeah.
is great. I mean, I know that the metal thing bangs down pretty hard sometimes when it lands. I've seen it dong, but I wonder how the system is built to absorb the forces. And because rockets didn't land prior, they coasted down when they were the space shuttle, or they floated away in space.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just Google that and or go on YouTube and you will find some great animations showing the chopstick mechanism. It's got shock absorbers uh, built into the surface of the chopsticks.
Nice.
So there's several layers of shock absorbing technology. Um, it doesn't mean it's not going to blow up, but and
It
that's
was
going to
so cool when the starships blew up that few times, like number 14 or 11. Maybe it was like 10, 11, 12. And boom, I was like, oh, that was wonderful. I
yeah.
saw one video where some guy was like across the water. He's like, come on, dude, you got this, Elon. And the thing blows up. He goes, oh, man, that's okay, though. That was cool. And I was like, yes, that's it. I'm totally with that dude right there. It was just like neat. That was cool. Man, what's a launch date for this thing? Don't they still have an environmental review ongoing that hasn't been finalized, and they can't launch it till after?
Yeah,
Are we thinking April?
they don't have full approval. I don't know if they can say when. They're hoping 2022, but I don't think they can say when.
I thought it was like April. Was it a prior launch date consideration?
The date always slips though.
Of
It was going to
course.
be like January. Um, well, that came and went,
Yep.
you know. So, well, I don't like this next story, even though it's basically a good story.
Why not? You don't like Rivian
Um,
anymore?
well, I don't like this story because this is showing the electric vans that Amazon is buying from Rivian, which means that my RT1 is not getting manufactured, right?
Yes. I get that.
Um, I really would like to have a Rivian pickup truck.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good looking truck, and I want to do tank turns in whose driveway am I going to do tank turns in? I don't know.
Many
Joe Biden.
driveways. There's many driveways. Driveways all over the world.
I like the design on these though,
Yeah.
but
It's
these are
probably
Amazon trucks, right?
I don't know, does it say what's it say right there? Does it say yeah, Amazon right there. Yep.
Illinois to Amazon. If you don't know this, Rivian's factory, their only factory to date, is in Illinois, and they converted an old Mitsubishi factory in Bloomington Normal. I think they have a second factory that's now sited, but excuse me, it's not under construction yet. Somewhere down south, I can't remember where are they putting their second factory.
I have no idea. Everybody's moving to Georgia though. Didn't they make a Georgia announcement? I think
I
they made a
wanted,
Georgia announcement.
I think it might be Georgia. Our listeners will have to tell us where is Rivian building their second factory. So
Georgia. I'm almost certain it's Georgia.
I saw a weird thing when I was in Texas. I saw a gas station. It was a truck stop, and there was about 10 Amazon delivery vans getting gas at the same time at the gas station. Why would they need to fuel up simultaneously? I know I couldn't grok that, but
Hmm.
they call this the ED 500, EDV 500. 150-mile range, 500 cubic feet of capacity. Good looking delivery van.
I wonder what kind of innovations on the inside are set up to maximize the efficiency of delivery people. Like, I want to get an electric van for a residential solar company, and then have it kitted out with all the right hooks and boxes and all the kind of cool stuff, and hardware on the side so that ladders can be attached and removed really easily, and all kinds of that stuff, because I think it's pretty cool. Amazon, Amazon's gonna super customize these vans for like Chicago deliverers who are the ultimate delivery people. There's probably some Amazon delivery dude making like 500 G's because he sprints around around the town like an NFL running back, just being awesome.
So you want to talk about solar tariffs?
I mean, I don't really want to talk about it, but I guess we have to be responsible to it and just bring it up.
I mean, there's good things and bad things about tariffs, right? Let's face it. There are some good things about tariffs. They do, in some ways, level the playing field. You can imagine that if you're a Chinese manufacturer using slave labor, either children or Uyghurs or whatever, you can make solar panels cheaper than we can here in North America. And so by putting a tariff
That's not
on
why
those,
it's cheap.
well, that's one of the reasons why it's cheap.
It takes a lot of military and security professionals to put a boot on people's neck.
If you don't have to pay the people that are making this stuff.
Yeah, but you got to pay the guys with the machine guns that stand behind them.
Well, anyway, yeah, I'm sure it's not simple, but it doesn't stop humans from doing it. So there must be some economic reason for it. But anyway, the thing that I got wrong was that First Solar was in the news, and First Solar is an American solar panel maker. They have a huge factory in Ohio that they're currently expanding. I think they're building a second factory somewhere else as well.
They got a whole bunch in Vietnam and Malaysia as well.
And they make thin film, cadmium telluride solar technology. It's very different than traditional crystalline technology. You would know way better than I. But why does First Solar have a dog in this fight?
Because I don't think First solar panels that are being imported from Vietnam and Malaysia have an import tariff on them. So that means they have a cheaper product relative to any Chinese solar panel, any LONGi, Yingli, Jinko, the big large scale modules that First Solar competes with. Now, Biden went along with the commercial utility scale project logic that bifacial panels should be considered a unique product type relative to what the United States is pushing, because there's nobody making bifacials for commercial projects in the United States. And the thought is bifacials should not have to pay an import tariff. And that's where First Solar got pissy, because they know that utility scale procurement specialists will buy bifacial panels 24/7, and that they're available in the quantities necessary, with minor retooling of the manufacturing lines being necessary. So bifacial panels will now be...
First Solar perceives the bifacial products as key competitors, and
Absolutely.
They would like to see the tariffs be applied to bifacial as much as any other monofacial product. Okay, I get that.
Yes, sir. Even more so, because bifacial is used more than monofacial in utility scale right now. Bifacial is a single axis tracker specialty. I mean, 80% of projects are bifacial single axis trackers. So it's all bifacial now for the utility scale. I'm doing bifacial on my 224. So,
yeah. I mean, trackers, you get more production at lower latitudes. The further north you go, the less gain you get from a tracker.
Mhm.
And there is a threshold here in the Great Lakes in the upper Midwest where you just go fixed tilt because
Hmm.
that's the most economical and most bang for your buck.
Interesting.
Um, but here in Illinois, most projects are going tracker and many of them bifacial. Um, and it's a beautiful product. I mean, I have to say, it makes sense. You see that backside with clear glass, and you go, yeah, that's a no brainer. Um, Thin film panels cannot be bifacial. Is that right?
I'm not certain.
You would
Let's
think there would be
see.
a way.
First solar. I was told that they were testing it in 2009. Um,
That's a
and
long
they
time
didn't
ago.
in 2019. I'm sorry,
Oh,
but it never really got turned on, and they never really built them.
yeah,
So, but maybe they're out there. Because I mean, technically, all panels are bifacial. PERC panels are bifacial. It's just that the standard PERC panel has a white back sheet, and they catch the reflection there. Now we're doing on the ground. So bifacial modules, there are two sides to every panel. New generation, unlike photo technology. So I don't. I mean, they're being talked about, but they're not like for
yeah,
sale. I don't think. But I don't know. First Solar is like sold out for like 3 years in a row. So it's
yeah.
I've never bought it. I've never
Well,
even
that's
seen a First
that's
Solar
the thing
panel in
is
my life.
a lot of the panel manufacturers are sold out years in advance now. So I don't, it's like
Well,
they can't
what's
really
so
they can't
what's
really
sold out?
complain.
What's sold out are their higher end manufacturing lines. So they have one or two lines with the best product. They sell those out. And then once they have a new line that's better, then we get access to the old line. Maybe me. You buy bigger projects than me.
Yeah. So I just think there's plenty to go around. We are going to be installing so much solar. 40% of the grid is going to be solar in the United States by 2050. And we're less than 5% today. So uh, it's a rocket ship ride. If you're not in the clean energy industry, if you're in oil and gas and you're concerned about the future and stranded assets, you should be. It's a real thing. When EVs hit hard in 2025 and we stop buying as much gasoline, the oil industry is going to tank. There will still be an oil industry. There will still be a gas industry, et cetera. There will still be a coal industry, but um, the real growth is going to be in solar, wind, and batteries. And so reach out to me. I love helping people get into clean energy. And you can also reach out to Commercial Solar Guy or Nico Johnson. Jigger Shaw and company at the DOE are hiring 1,000
Yeah.
professionals in all walks of life. And as I am fond of saying, that is the next generation of energy leadership in this country. Those folks that they're going to hire. So check out the DOE. They're undergoing a radical transformation, really, that they haven't seen since the 70s when they were created. I digress. You've got a story here about SPP and MISO identifying 7 cross-seam transmission projects that could unlock up to 53 gigawatts of new generation. That is a very geeky topic, but a good topic. What's the deal?
Well, we know very much so that transmission means freedom with intermittent resources, especially on the US continent. And if we were able to build an HVCD network tying together Alaska to Panama and Maine and San Diego and everybody in between, we would probably have a 24/7 wind and solar power grid perfectly running. And here is a couple of utilities, a couple of ISO RTO types, utility grid managers who see a few power lines that could connect certain areas and
Mhm.
just let volume rush through them. Like these lines would allow huge volumes of wind and solar to be installed and flow amongst the various regions of the power grid. Because right now there's these bottlenecks all over, and we got to break the bottlenecks. And these are short little connector lines, just like dink, 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 little pieces to just add to the network. And as you can see the math there, and scroll down just a tiny bit. There's an image. There's a nice image, I think, where they show where the line is. Yeah, there you
Oh
go.
yeah.
There goes your lines. So we just got a couple of little lines. It's like, zoom in on that just a tiny bit for us. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Oops, scroll down. There we go. Look at those. I mean, how many miles of lines is that? It's not I mean, it does cover big chunks of land, but we're not talking like 10. It's less than 1,000 miles, I bet, of power line. Maybe. But it's just that's huge, man. And we know about the seams study. Are you familiar with the seams study?
No.
So the SEAM study is where the NREL, National Renewable Energy Lab, underneath the Department of Energy, put out a document. And I don't know what SEAM stand for, but at the higher level, what it means is 6, 7, 8 spots between the eastern grid, the western grid, and Texas. If we install big switching gear to tie together the big grids and let them share between each other at these locations, then we could massively increase the volume of intermittent energy resources we could put on the grid, like 10x this number or something. And so this is just a smaller, more localized version of the SEAM study, and maybe what would be necessary for us to really fill out the SEAM's potential. It's just lots of little strategic connectors between the grid so that juice can flow, kind of like an off ramp to the downtown highway system and go on the route around the highway. That's what needs to occur here. Or sometimes maybe just get dumped into downtown because that's where the electricity is needed. I don't know the map of it. I was just so surprised that $2 billion of power lines could lead to $30 to $50 billion worth of wind, solar, and storage. And
Yeah.
it seems like the solar developers would be like, yep, I'll pick that up. And they will, because they have, because transmission upgrades are part of interconnection cost requirements anyway. And so, we could run some watts, 53 gigs into 2 billion. Let's do some quick math. Let's go. So dollar per watt. So we're gonna go 53. So that's a gigawatt, megawatt, kilowatt. Got that one. Go 2 billion. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Divided by bam. 3.4 cents per watt DC. 3.77 cents. Sorry, I don't know. 3.4. 3.77 cents per watt DC to upgrade the grid across 53 gigs of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that number is not perfect that I just did there. It's distributed unevenly, but we're talking 4% of a utility scale project price would be interconnection costs. I already paid for that in my projects. I suggest 10 cents per watt for grid upgrade costs, transformers, other stuff, just this is less than what I pay. So without a doubt, they should do this. And that region is good at building power lines, actually. I've learned from reading about them, MISO, I think it's MISO, but I think it's MISO incentivizes the locals when the power lines are built. So local people get discounted electricity, they get good land lease rates, they get like free internet, free cable, stuff like that. And that apparently is what helps the local communities go, okay, we got a big giant piece of metal in our sky now, but we got good internet. So, take care of the locals. I think that's the sales pitch. But we got good internet. So anyway, build some power lines.
Yeah, we need to build a Dyson sphere right here on Earth and just
yes.
and just make a HVDC grid, and then we have 24/7, and we don't need to beam energy down from satellites. We could do that too, but truly, sometimes we're kind of lame, John. We're kind of stodgy and like begrudgingly being dragged into the 21st century, in
Yes.
ways that don't serve humanity. They don't serve our needs for resiliency, for better health, and a brighter future. And the utilities really have to hop to, or they will get disrupted. Everybody will just migrate to a microgrid and say, okay, see ya, we're just going to use solar and batteries, and um, you know, hopefully we can bring this company on. There's a company, a commercial solar installer. They do residential also in Santa Cruz, California, called Sandbar Solar. And when they were building their new building, they were faced with a several $100,000 cost to interconnect the building to the grid, and a something like a 5-month delay. And
Hmm.
they said, okay, screw you. We're going to install a generator, a solar array, and some big ass batteries. And now they operate 98% of the time on solar and battery. And then 2% of the time they have to fire up the generator if it's, too cloudy or whatever. Santa Cruz does get very cloudy. If you've ever been to coastal Bay Area, so totally doable. So you want to talk about silicon prices?
Of course I do.
Polysilicon prices.
Polysilicon.
Polysilicon is what I don't understand is, why do we call it a metal?
Because it is a metal. Have you ever seen it when it comes out of the ground?
Silicon is a metal.
Yeah. Like big chunky rocks, big
Yeah,
shiny rocks.
yeah.
It could be a soft metal. I don't know the details. I mean, gold's soft, but
Because
aluminum
because
is soft.
because glass is made of silicon also. Um, and
Did
and
you know there's clear aluminum?
is it really?
Yep.
Oh, I want some of that. That's cool. I bet it's super expensive. How do they make it
Probably.
clear?
I have no idea. I remember seeing that Volvo was thinking about using clear aluminum in the support beams that are here, so you can see through them and not
Oh
have that
wow,
blind spot. I was like, that's a great idea. What a creative application. I haven't seen very
clear
much.
aluminum.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you could
I
build.
want to see a computer
You could have
screen
the.
made
You
out
could
of it.
have you could have a translucent vehicle. The shell of the vehicle could be completely translucent.
Oh, that'd be sweet. A clear
That would
aluminum.
be wicked cool,
Yeah,
or
I
not.
like it. Maybe. Who knows? So anyway, so polysilicon, it's a metal. Everybody's projecting that the price is going to fall, and I hope that's the case. There's new capacity coming on. Coming on. However, I'm also hearing that the price may be buoyed by buyers who have to refill their volumes, and I have to figure out how to respond to Daniel here because Daniel asked a question, and I don't know how to respond to him yet, but I'm going to figure
There's
it
a
out.
little. There's a little window down there. Do you have that little chat window in the bottom right?
All right, I can. I can't
Daniel
see it.
Schmidt asked the question about green ammonia while we're talking about polysilicon. But anyway,
It's green though. There can be green ammonia. There can be plenty of green ammonia. It just depends on what the manufacturing sources are. So
yeah,
the Australians are working on it.
if you make it with green electricity,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you know,
I think I'd have to log in, Tim, and I think logging in is risky for me at this point in the show. So
no
I just
worries.
clicked on the link, so I can't chat with him. But there you go, Daniel. You heard me. We were chatting already. I like green ammonia. It seems like green ammonia versus green hydrogen is going to be a transportation method. So, so yeah, green ammonia is something. Watch whatever the Australians are doing because they're doing a whole bunch, and then watch the wind generation folk off the northwestern coast of Europe. The Irish, the English, maybe the Dutch. I couldn't, and probably the Germans. They're all working on it, so they're all pushing it. I think it's weird. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great way to store energy if we use our natural gas and other storage tools and start building up an oversized wind inventory. And then it's okay if we have 1-2 week slowdowns because who cares? We have a huge volume in there. We have solar. We have other stuff. So I like the concept of it. Everybody says it's too inefficient. But when we have plenty of electricity at super low prices, efficiency is irrelevant.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean the round trip efficiency of hydrogen okay, is something like 37% versus lithium ion, which is something like 80 to 90%.
Cool.
Um, so that's why hydrogen is not competitive today. Doesn't mean not tomorrow. And there are many applications where for transportation, for long distance airplanes, for long distance shipping, where lithium ion is not gonna win. I mean, I think there's a consensus on that. They are using lithium ion in short distance aircraft, um, but
I know that gasoline was successful at sub 37% efficiency for the world. Now, whether or not it's a good thing, et cetera, whether or not lithium is going to outcompete it, I just know that gasoline was successful at low efficiency levels and managed to get the world to where it is. And hydrogen is going to do some stuff. People love the concept of hydrogen. It's like weird. It's just like they love solar. And the Australians are just building so much of it, dude. Oh my gosh.
so
It's just amazing to watch.
I googled green ammonia, and the
Mhm.
first result for me was a company called Stami Carbon in the Netherlands is
Cool.
into green ammonia. So Daniel, there you go. Google has all the answers you want, and yeah, I think we're going to see a very diverse hydrogen economy emerging. We have to be careful. We make biodiesel, with soybeans, and we make biofuels with corn. What is that? It's an alcohol, right? We make
Ethanol.
ethanol. Um, that is not efficient. We do it, and the government subsidizes it, and it's a thing. And it's thousands and thousands of acres in the Midwest of corn being converted into biofuels, and that is hugely inefficient. It's way more efficient to just put that land in solar, make electrons, put it on wires, charge EVs, bada beam, bada boom, right? Way, way, way more efficient. And but farmers are like, well, subsidy here, subsidy there. They just want a living, and they don't want to disrupt their lifestyle too hard. So biofuels is obviously keeping their traditional lifestyle, growing crops. Solar is a bigger shift, but we only need 1% of the landscape. So most farmers will not even have an opportunity to get in the solar game.
All of the ethanol guys, if we were to switch all ethanol corn to solar, we could power the nation and the transportation network. So I think maybe there should be an ethanol to solar movement that should be pushed. And
Yes.
so for
Yes.
every ethanol cornfield, we should be moving that to a solar facility which has regenerative soil properties. And we should have
Yep.
a solar field rotation plan for every 45 years or so. And we
Yeah.
just spin between, 40 million, 80 million of our US acres. We just spin back and forth every 45 years. So 90-year plan. And after the 45 years, we're going to have 45 years of amazing soil, of manure and sheep and plant mass building up. And we'll have to figure out how to manage that because the panels won't raise with it, but the soil will want to raise. So maybe we'll have to redistribute the soil. I don't know. But oh man, it's possible. It's a very strong possibility if we manage our nationwide fleet of solar energy facilities.
Should we talk about solar canals in California?
I think so. I thought it was neat. First project in the U.S. that seems to be getting some attention.
I like that structure too. This is wicked cool visual. If it's authentic, it looks authentic. I don't know.
You
It's
should
it's
Google India solar canals to see some other
Well,
existing
yeah,
facilities.
The Indians, and we've covered this on the Clean Power Hour before. The Indians are doing this, and that makes
Yeah.
sense. In hot climates, if you have canals, you want to put solar on them because you can reduce that evaporation That water is being moved around for a reason, for agriculture and for cities that need drinking water. Which is a huge thing in California. Let me get this on screen though.
I read somewhere once that 20% of California's electricity is spent moving water.
I believe it.
Wow! Oh my gosh! What a giant number! Oh my goodness! That's a cool picture. I agree.
It's got like wings, kind of. It tilts up on the edges and then goes lower down over the water. It looks like there's like trusses. It's a truss structure. Yeah, very unique racking system. Would love to get the racking company to come on the show. Joseph Guzman. This is from The Hill. First in nation project will cover canals with solar panel canopies. And
about $4 a watt.
Stanislaus County. That's what the solar costs?
Yeah, I think it's 5 megs and it's $20 million project for the first one. So about $4 a watt. Yeah. If you look at the amount of racking that was used in the Indian projects, I can see where the extra dollar comes from versus, say, a carport, because it was just a big structure. Pretty cool. How many miles? So, yeah, 4,000 miles of water canals. Look at that. I didn't know that 4,000 canals were there. Good stuff, Daniel. Hey, that's Daniel. You're still talking with him.
Yeah.
So
Daniel's got a lot of interesting ideas. And we appreciate your ideas, and we will be talking more about solar grazing.
I did a solar grazing story this week.
Just this week? Why didn't you cover it in the news?
I cover like 3. I do like 3 stories a week, dude. Can't cover all of my stuff. I got to cover everybody else's stuff too.
Oh, well, it's not too late. We could do 1 or 2 more stories. I gotta move on shortly, but
why don't we do one item, just if we can get some attention from people? Let's go down to the last one, the running the house with the EV6 Ioniq 5. So I told you, of course, I lost my Tesla. Did I tell you that?
Is it gone?
Okay.
It's gone fishing?
Tesla's gone officially. Tesla's gone. And yesterday this morning at some hour, I got the insurance payment. And so I made money on owning a Tesla. I don't know if I told you this, but I bought the car at Value X. I got back $11,000 more, including all payments and everything.
Wow.
I had the car for 34,000 miles. So the Tesla appreciated in value while I owned it.
Yeah.
And so
I made money on my Tesla too. And so that is the incredible thing, is the resale value is just off the charts. I'm curious how they do that calculation for you. The only thing I'm aware of is the pricing may have gone up a little bit.
Yep.
And then the FSD package has gone up a little bit.
Car's up by 10,000. The exact same car that mine is now $10,000 more expensive than when I bought it. So that's it. That's it right there.
And you owned it for what, about a year?
A year and 3 months, on the dot. A year and 3 months on the dot. 34,000 miles.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm now looking at a new car, and I just got this payment. And, I no longer feel like an emotional obligation to help Tesla, because they don't need my help anymore. They're now a $1 trillion company. And so I want to get a different EV though. That's important, because I still am a business. I'm driving for my business. I need a hatchback so I can throw ladders and stuff in there. And I've been looking at the Ioniq 5 and the EV6. I'm told they're roughly the same car. They're, Kia, Hyundai, same manufacturer in line. And
I like the Kia more, I have to say. I think the Kia is a little sharper looking.
Cool. I don't have an emotion on either of the looks so far. I think they're both great looking. I'm just trying to figure out.
We should ask Tom Malagny. We're looking at Tom Malagny's feed here. He's a great YouTuber. If you haven't checked out his channel, he's Mr. State of Charge. That's his channel.
Cool.
And he geeks out on EV charging, hardcore.
Well,
look at all those EV chargers right behind him. His garage is like a charging laboratory.
That's awesome.
But what's the deal here though? Ionic 5 powering a lamp, my laptop, and Keurig coffee maker. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, look at that orange cable. It's literally just plugged into the car, and it's
Yeah.
plugged right into that. It's like, think,
Yeah.
right there, done.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the EV battery, consumers need to get this. If you don't know this, you can run your house on the EV battery for several days. It's that
oh,
big.
how beautiful.
And you just got to have the dongle to plug it into your panel, and that's not trivial, but of course you can just get a dongle and run your stuff if you're really just like camping out in your garage, so to speak.
Yeah,
But the real key is the V to G. So like an official way to connect into the house panel
yep.
and power um, emergency loads.
I think I had a new version of Express Me. So there's V to G, which is run the grid, make money off the grid. There's V to House, V to H, which lets you connect to your house panel, and then there's V to Load, which is what that dude was doing, just out
Yeah,
some juice to cover some needs. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's a great, just a great little nuance. V to G, V to H, V to L, and V2L could be the cheap, quick, and easy way to back up people's houses. And now we got to figure out how to hook up heat pumps, or I don't know. I guess if you have an EV already, you can just sit in the car and be warm, and you won't be worried about stuff. But just a new little nuance. Now I'm gonna have to read that dude and go see Seth from Electric. He's the one that put me on to the Kia/Hyundai, and I think that's what I'm buying, and I'm going to get a $10,000 incentive. Oh man, I'm going to get such a great deal. I've never, second time buying a new car ever. I'm going to be an intelligent consumer to the best of my ability.
the big question is, when can you get one of those?
They're on the lots. They're on the lots all around. They're
Well,
popping up left and
the
right.
Hyundai might be. I don't think the Kia is.
I was told there's an EV6 that I can drive on Monday.
Really?
I was
Whoa.
told that. I was told that people at the dealerships might not know things though, so we'll see.
It's funny. My Ford dealership keeps calling me and saying, "Mr. Montague, are you still interested in your Ford F-150 Lightning that you have a deposit on?" And I say, "Yes, absolutely. When can I get it?" And they say, "Oh, we have no idea. We just wanted to check in with you." And I'm like, "Well, you keep doing this, but you're not really making me feel any better about Ford by doing this. I'm
Mhm.
excited to get a Ford F-150 Lightning if I could, or a Rivian, or a Cybertruck. But now the damn Model Y is competing with the Cybertruck, and I get it. Elon needs cash to go to Mars, so he's going to sell a lot of Model Ys. So you'll have to come back to Illinois and take me for a drive in your EV6.
Yep.
We should do a poll.
Mm.
EV6 or Ioniq? Is that what the other one is called?
Ionique. I'm going to say Ionique now. Make me sound sophisticated. Le Ionique.
It does sound very French that way.
I like that.
Well, John, I think we've come to the end of another beautiful clean power hour. And thank you, Daniel, and some other dude whose name is Gobbledygook, for checking the show out. Um, we are normally doing these news hours on Thursdays at 10:30 my time, 11:30 your time. Yeah,
There
10:30
you go.
Central, 11:30 Eastern, and unless we have an interview, and we could start broadcasting our interviews live too. We'll see. I don't know if our guests would go for that. We are looking for solar installers, solar developers, solar financiers, manufacturers, anyone who's contributing to the clean energy transition. We want to talk to you if you have a cool product that's legitimately decarbonizing the economy. We don't want to promote any smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of that too. But I want our listeners to know how to find you, Mr. Solar, Commercial Solar Guy.
Type in commercial solar guy. Type it into Google and you'll find me. You could also type in commercial solar consultant, and I am the number one non-paid ad. I should pay for an ad so I can be the number one paid ad and the number one non-paid ad. But commercial solar guy. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I like to share a bunch of stuff on Twitter. I'm on Reddit. I don't tell you who I am there because I cuss a lot on Reddit, and LinkedIn is pretty cool.
Can you
I
really
like
be
LinkedIn.
anonymous on Reddit?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that should be allowed
Why not?
because it promotes a contagion of polarization that we have in this country.
Listen, Donald Trump had his face on the television saying terrible things, and that didn't change. Having his name stuck next to him didn't change anything. Can't blame Anonymous. We're dirty human beings on stage, on television, sometimes even more so on television because it's gross and people like to stare at train wrecks. So
Yeah, I think we should be very concerned about the polarization. We need to step that
I
back.
agree.
Anyway, you can find me at cleanpower.group now. I've
Nice
got the
site.
beginnings of a website set up here, and we are on a mission to decarbonize. So if you're on that mission, please reach out to me for some strategic marketing consulting. I also do executive coaching, and I'm setting up several masterminds for clean tech executives. So if you're a clean tech exec and you want to benefit from a collective brain trust, that's what a mastermind is. It's a peer group of smart people who bring you ideas that you might not have otherwise. And then, of course, Clean Power Hour is available for download, for subscription, free. It costs you nothing. This content, go to cleanpowerhour.com. Please subscribe on your favorite player. You see all the players there: Google, Apple, etc., Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and my favorite, YouTube. And so subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, tell your friends, and bring us awesome guests. That's my number one request. We love to hear your ideas too, but awesome guests would be good. More people like Martin Puchtaruk. He's one of my favorite recent guests. I don't know about you, John, but I really enjoyed that conversation.
That was cool. I like the deal they signed. Did we talk about the deal? Yeah, we talked about the deal they signed last week, but they signed an awesome deal. And that was a great show too. I just love talking to people who are like in the know technology.
I don't remember the deal though. What was the deal?
Oh, so they signed a deal with Altus, which is a CNI company who just went SPAC public, CNI solar contractor developer.
Okay.
And they signed a deal where Altus will buy up to 250 megs of their modules per year.
Yeah, now I remember.
And invest $5 million in their stock. It's like, wow, that's what you do when you got a bunch of money. You buy some stock and some panels. That's big league stuff there. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yep. All right, my friend. Well, thank you. And I say let's grow solar, wind, and storage. Have a great evening, John. Thanks, everybody.